Today I'm behind the wheel of a brand new 2021 Mercedes GLC 300, and this is the best-selling Mercedes Benz in the United States. Now, back in 2020, Mercedes did a substantial refresh on the GLC. The outside was changed and modernized, and same thing with the inside. Also, the GLC was given more power, and even the 4MATIC all-wheel drive system was tuned for better handling. So, for 2021, there isn't a whole lot of changes, just a few small minor things that were added as standard features. So, just how good is this brand new GLC, and how does it stack up against the competition? Well, keep watching and find out. Before I get started, I want to give a big thanks to Mercedes Benz of Naperville. They made this video possible, so if you're looking for a brand new or used Mercedes, go ahead and check out this dealership. Their URL is on the screen and in the description of this video. Alright, I'm behind the wheel. Let's see how good this brand new GLC is and see how it drives. The first thing I want to talk about are these seat belts. I was surprised. As soon as you buckle up, they automatically retract. Now, in other luxury cars, usually they don't do that until you start driving, right? This, it's like right away. As soon as you buckle up, you feel it retract pretty hard and then let go a little bit. So that's pretty unique. Again, you don't really feel that in a normal car, right? And it's just something small like that in a luxury car like this GLC that makes you feel like it's worth the price tag. So besides the seatbelt, let me jump right into the drive because this drive is lovely. It's really comfortable, and I was not expecting that from one of the smallest SUVs from Mercedes. Keep in mind this is a GLC. Also, you have pretty big wheels, 18-inch alloy wheel standard, but around town right now, man, it is so smooth. The suspension is butter smooth. Normally, for something to be this smooth on pavement, you have to have like off-road suspension, right? Like in a lot of off-road trucks, you'll feel that because the suspension is just really soft to give more travel. But inside this Mercedes, man, it is very smooth, very smooth. And what adds to the comfort are these seats. These seats are very nice all around, not just the front, but also the rear. But starting with the front seats, you know, they don't look the sportiest. They're not the prettiest seats out there, but they get the job done. And what I mean by that is comfort. They actually feel really nice. The back bolsters are holding me in without being too aggressive. Same with the bottom. The bottom bolster is nice and wide. You know, they're not cutting into my thighs, and overall, I feel like it's pretty comfortable. Pretty comfortable overall. The one bad thing is just like BMW, you don't get standard leather seats. You get a synthetic leather, and inside a luxury car like Mercedes, you just kind of expect everything to be all leather, right? Unfortunately, you have to pay extra for leather. So that's the one downside. Now, as for visibility and driving position, good. The visibility is actually beyond good. It's really good, and that's because this GLC has a very low and sloping hood, which I'm going to talk about the looks in a little bit, but it definitely does help with front visibility. The windshield is absolutely enormous. I can see well past the hood. Also, side windows, you know, every side window is very big, which is really nice. Also, blind spot is good too. So visibility overall is good. The rear visibility is also good. The tailgate window is nice and big. Plus, you get blind spot monitoring in here standard, so that's not a concern. As for the seating position, well, you get somewhat of a commanding view of the road, but you don't sit very high off the ground. It's not nearly as high as, say, a GLE, which is a mid-sized luxury SUV. This is a compact luxury SUV, so it's a little bit closer to the road. But that's okay. It also makes it easier to get in and out of the seats. So overall, not too bad. And when you combine it with the great visibility, the comfortable seats, this is a really nice place to be in. Now, as for the steering, it's good, but not as good as this beautiful and soft suspension. Let's start out with the steering wheel, because the steering wheel is actually fantastic. And I love the design, a modern design, good use of aluminum, and it's really thick, especially around the 10 and 2 spot. So when you're holding it, it just feels good, and the leather does feel good as well. As for the steering feel itself, it has a light feel. It has a very light feel, and I was not expecting that. Now, later I'm going to change the driving mode and see if it affects the steering. But right now, it does have a really light feel, almost too light. But with that said, it still kind of fits this character of this GLC well, because I'm expecting that most people that's looking to buy this SUV is looking for a quiet and comfortable and easy ride, and that is what Mercedes is providing. Precision isn't bad. There's some steering play, but overall isn't too bad. So, I mean, the steering, I believe, could be better. So let's talk about the outside, since it was refreshed in 2020. Overall, I think this GLC 300 looks pretty good. It's not the most bold or aggressive within this class, but I think Mercedes did a good job blending in luxury, elegance, modern styling all together. I've talked about the front hood already. It's low and it slopes down quite a bit. So if you're looking at the front end, it doesn't look the most aggressive, right? However, I think overall everything works. You have a nice big grille and of course an enormous Mercedes Benz emblem in the middle. And then you have some unique looking daytime running lights and headlights, full LED, right? It does look pretty unique. And on the bottom bumper, you do have a chrome piece that kind of pops out a little bit. So, you know, front end is okay. Now, moving to the side, this is where you can see more of the curves to the GLC, right? The GLC definitely is a curvy SUV with wide hips and wide shoulders, but you can see how the front hood flows into the side, and you do have good use of aluminum everywhere. The window surrounds, the roof rails, all aluminum. Also a little bit of aluminum on the door handles, right? And you do have nice 18-inch alloy wheels that makes everything stand out. Overall, the side profile, not bad. Now, when you move to the back, I believe the back of this GLC is the best looking side. And that's because of those wide hips, right? The wheel haunches stick out quite a bit. You also have really nice looking LED taillights and a spoiler, privacy glass, and underneath you have dual chrome finishers that completes the look. Moving inside, you do have a power liftgate and you can set the height. For those of you guys that are shorter, you can make the power tailgate a little bit lower. If you're on the tall side, you can make it go all the way up. So that's pretty nice. Now behind, you do have a privacy glass. Also, you have two power folding buttons, one on each side for the second row. You also have a 12V outlet on the left side, and you have a spare tire underneath. Now, when you fold down the second row, you can see cargo room increases substantially, and what I like is the seats are virtually flat. Second row is virtually flat, so maximizes cargo room. So that's nice. Now, as for amenities, second row passengers get a pair of vents, also a household outlet and a 12V outlet, but unfortunately no USB ports in the second row, which is surprising. Also, cup holders if you fold down the armrest. As for space, I'm 5'10" and it's pretty spacious. I have 4 to 5 inches of legroom and also about 45 inches of headroom. So even though this GLC is considered a compact luxury SUV, you still get a lot of space on the inside. It's pretty spacious up front too. As you can see, plenty of headroom. Even though there is a panoramic sunroof up here, still plenty of headroom. Shoulder room is good. Hip room is a little bit lacking because the center console is quite big, but overall, still good size. Now, that use of aluminum I talked about, there's more of it up front in a good way. So if you look at the door panels, you still see the speakers are aluminum, so heated seats button. Also, you can see the seat adjustment is up here too. That's a trademark for Mercedes, and I have to get used to it because every time I'm adjusting the seat, I'm like, where are the buttons? They're right on the door panel, right? But it does look good. Even the window switches, they're all aluminum, so there's a lot of aluminum. And even the vents. The outside of vents are aluminum, the inside is aluminum, and just a small little touch when you're moving the vent left and right, you hear this click, like click, 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 and it's a very satisfying click. Again, it's one of those tiny little things that make you feel like, yeah, this is a luxury car. Now, besides the use of aluminum up here, the dash design, center console design is really nice, really elegant in its own way. In a Mercedes way. It just looks very different from all the other luxury cars out there. Let's talk about this infotainment screen and system that was updated in 2020. This is definitely a big improvement, although there are other systems that I find better. So overall, you know, it's a good size, 10.25 inch, and the display, you know, in terms of the brightness, the graphical interface, the responsiveness, you know, is all good. It's good. Now, when you're scrolling, it is touch, so thank God it is touch. It's pretty good too. You get like a nice click. Again, when you're scrolling left or right, you get a nice click sensation. But there is a lot to navigate. It can get confusing. So there's a lot to navigate, and Mercedes pairs this with this touchpad setup, which you can choose not to use, right? But because of this position, I always find that I'm touching it in some way. So I wish Mercedes just removed this, but you can use just your finger exclusively. But this touchpad setup, you know, it gives me anxiety using, and I don't like this position. I just keep touching it for some reason. Either my hands or my phone or something just keeps bumping into it. What's good about this infotainment screen is standard, so you get it with all GLCs. But what's optional and what's really nice is this digital gauge cluster, 12.3 inch digital gauge cluster. And this is now becoming more standard. You see a lot more of this. And overall, it's just a nice thing to have because it's bright. It covers the whole screen. You could change it. You could change how you want it to be displayed, like different kind of driving modes, right? Also, you can see all the essential information, your trip computer, your safety systems, and a whole lot more. So it's just really nice, bright, in your face, right? But this is optional. You do have to pay for that. Now, the controls for both is a little confusing. You have to get used to it because if you look on the steering wheel, there's a set of buttons on the left that controls this digital info screen. And then also there's buttons on the right that controls the infotainment screen, right? And they work the same way. Mercedes did a really good job to make everything look symmetrical, really nice. But it is kind of confusing at first, a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot of buttons, so you do have to get used to that. Now, inside this GLC, you also get paddle shifters, which is nice, and you also get a stock shifter. I've gotten used to it because I daily drive a Tesla, and Tesla uses the same setup. But for some of you guys, you'll have to get used to it. At first, it's not the most intuitive setup, so you do have to remember that you press down to go and drive, up, reverse, and press the button for park. Now, underneath the infotainment system, of course, you see those 3 beautiful vents I talked about, but then you have a row of aluminum buttons for climate control, which is also really nice. So you have your usual stuff, fan control, your temperature control, but you can also press the menu button. If you didn't want to go through and use those buttons, you're confused, you can just control everything on the screen. So you have an option of doing both, which is nice. Now, underneath, you do have a row of black buttons, and that's for your telephone, navigation, media, and favorites, a few other things. That's just kind of like quick navigating buttons. Now, there's a cover underneath, so if you open that, you can see you can opt for a wireless charger. So unfortunately, it's not standard, it's optional, but you can opt for that. There's also 1 USB port there, and also 2 cup holders. Now, I already showed you the touchpad setup to control the infotainment system, but there are some buttons to the left and right of that. One of them that's very important is your engine auto start stop functionality. A lot of you guys want to disable that right away, so there is a button for that. There's also a switch on the left side for driving modes. So you have Eco, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, and Individual, so you can configure it however you want. So I'll test out the difference between Comfort and Sport Plus in a little bit. On the right side, you have a scrolling knob that's in aluminum. That's for volume. I know a lot of you guys will get confused at first because most people think of a knob that you can turn. This is more like a scroll wheel that you're scrolling, and you have to get used to that. Some other buttons is for parking sensors, and one is for camera. So you can choose a number of different camera views. It's really nice. You can see basically all around your GLC, what's in front, what's inside, right? Pretty much you can see everywhere around your GLC. Inside the armrest, you have a good amount of space and 2 USB-C ports. So as you can see, you don't get a lot of USB ports inside this GLC for some reason. Mercedes is a little stingy on USB ports. On top, you can get HomeLink buttons underneath the rearview mirror, and you can opt for a gigantic panoramic sunroof, which is really nice because it lets a lot of light in. I didn't talk about the powertrain yet, and it's a really, really good one. So you have an engine up front, 2-liter turbo engine that's producing 255 horsepower and over 270 pound-feet of torque. It's mated to a 9-speed automatic. Now, this engine was beefed up a little bit in 2020, a little bit more powerful, but you know what? I've been driving around town and I never feel like I don't have power. There's always power on tap, and it's really nice. And I had a chance to accelerate a little bit. Today, where I'm driving, there's a lot of cars. I really can't show you, you know, a 0 to 60 run, but there's been a few times where I, you know, press down and accelerate a little bit, and you know, this GLC feels lively. It doesn't feel slow at all. So this engine, definitely a good one. What's also really good is this transmission, this 9-speed. Usually when you have, you know, transmissions that's up there with gears like 9 or 10 speed, sometimes, you know, it tries to upshift too much and the car feels bogged down. Sometimes it doesn't downshift when you want to. I don't get that feeling inside this GLC. In fact, it's so butter smooth. I really can't tell that it's automatic. It almost feels like a CVT in a way, because I really can't tell when it's downshifting or upshifting. It is that smooth. It's a really, really, really smooth automatic. So overall, this combination, this powertrain, is really nice. I am in comfort mode. I told you guys that. So I'm going to put it into sport. Let's see how it is. Now, right away, when I put into sport, the RPM went up. I could feel it right away. So it's definitely tweaking the throttle, making the throttle more aggressive. Now, yeah, just a slight tap makes the GLC want to just rush forward. So, so sport mode kind of acts like all the other sport modes that you normally see. It tweaks the throttle to make you feel that you're a little bit faster, but mostly because it's just making the throttle more aggressive. You know what? In sport, I do feel a slight difference of the steering wheel. Normally, you know, you don't get that, but I do. I actually do feel like the steering got a little bit crisper, a little bit more precise. The weight, maybe a little bit more. I can't really tell with the weight, but the steering did get a little better. However, with that said, the sport, to me, is just annoying to drive around town. The transmission holds the gear a little bit too long. The RPM's a little bit too high. When the car should be shifting, it doesn't shift. So for me, I can't live with sport mode, so I have to go back to comfort. But this is where the individual setting comes into play. So you could set throttle to be comfort, but you could set the steering to be sport, right? So that's where customizing it would be a nice thing. So there's one thing that's really, really weird, and I think it's an oversight from Mercedes, and that's the placement of the heated steering wheel function. I know this GLC comes with it, and I was looking, I'm like, where is it? That button is not on the steering wheel, it's not on the center console, it's not on the dash, it's not within the infotainment system. So where is it? Well, I found it. So there's a little like lever for the telescopic function, the power telescopic function of the steering wheel. So you press it to go in and out, right? But you have to turn it. You turn it to turn on the heated steering wheel. And it's in a position where most people will not see that. So I do think that's an oversight. And I think the only reason why Mercedes placed it back there is because they want to make the button layout on the steering wheel symmetrical on both sides. The buttons are identical on both sides. I think they didn't want to mess this up. That's why they did it that way. But man, is it difficult to find. Now, as for brakes, they're normal. And that's a good thing. The pedal feels normal. It's not stiff or mushy. And the GLC comes to a stop when you expect it to. So overall, good. Something I didn't mention about this beautiful drive is how quiet it is in here. It's really nice. It's very quiet. You know, I really don't hear much. The most I hear actually is from the engine. So although it's very, very, very well insulated on the outside, I think the engine insulation could be better. But with that said, you know what? It's very, very quiet. I hear nothing from the outside in terms of wind noise, cars passing by, road noise, nothing like that. The only thing I hear slightly is the engine noise. So as for safety systems, you pretty much get it all. And for 2021, you get even more. So I mentioned about traffic sign assist, the ability to read the traffic signs. That comes with this GLC. Also active brake assist, which means it's just emergency braking. So you also get that. Attention assist, whether or not you're falling asleep, the GLC will tell you if you are not paying attention. Traffic light view, which basically will tell you if, a red light is coming up. Also blind spot assist, which is blind spot monitoring, so that is standard. And for 2021, you get rear cross traffic alert too. So in case you're backing out and a car is coming, it'll tell you. Also parking assist. That is also standard for 2021 now. So as you can see, this GLC is plenty safe. You get all the safety features you ever would want. So next up, let me talk about pricing, some of the optional features you can get, and my final thoughts. There are 5 different trim levels for the GLC 300. The base starts a tad over $43,000, and if you want 4MATIC all-wheel drive, the cost goes up to over $45,000. Then you have the hybrid GLC 350e, which starts right under $52,000. And next you have 2 AMG models with extreme horsepower. The GLC 43 with 385 horsepower starts under $60,000, and finally the range-topping GLC 63 with 469 horsepower starts under $74,000. To conclude, the 2021 GLC 300 is a fantastic compact luxury SUV from Mercedes that does so many things well. The exterior after the refresh has a stylish look that is pure Mercedes, and the interior has a good blend of style, luxury, and functionality. The GLC provides a very smooth and quiet ride with great visibility all around. There's a good amount of space in both rows and in the cargo area. The seats are very soft and supportive. The infotainment screen and digital gauge cluster both work well, and there's plenty of standard safety features overall. Finally, the base engine and 9-speed transmission provide lovely acceleration and drive around town. The bad include lack of USB ports within the cabin, the strange placement of the heated steering wheel function, and the touchpad for the infotainment screen is frustrating to use and always seems to get in the way. Finally, the GLC can be well equipped if you pay for it. Many of the nice features you find, such as real leather, the 360 surround view camera, panoramic sunroof, wireless charging, digital gauge cluster, among other things, are all optional. So the one I'm driving today tops out close to $54,000. Overall, I'm giving the 2021 Mercedes GLC 300 a score of 98. To see how it ranks with others in this segment, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Hit the like and subscribe to the channel, and check out these other videos.